So I was inspired to make this video because of the antinatalist survey that Jiwoon Hwang posted. I guess someone named Thomas Blank actually designed it. I was really disturbed by one statistic, and it was that under 30% of antinatalists are vegans. I thought this was really disturbing because antinatalism is supposed to be the philosophy that's against harm, against causing sentient life to be born on this planet. And if you are giving your money to the meat and dairy industry, clearly you are supporting birth. It's really no different than like donating your money to an IVF clinic or sperm bank. I mean, it's the exact same thing. It goes completely against your ethics. Although inmendham often talks about understanding philosophy versus living it. He said he's fine if people who understand and logically say, okay, this is bad, this is wrong. I just personally can't stop myself, but I won't at least encourage it in others. And that's okay to a point, but you really should be trying to be an example of an ethical lifestyle in your own life. So I was on the Rogue Philosophy Discord and saw some people in there talking about how they're going to eat chicken. So, with that said, I thought that I would make a video showing what I eat in a day. Maybe this can help some of you vegans, vegetarians, carnists. So my wife was out of town last weekend, and I thought that'd be a good opportunity. I wasn't planning on leaving the house, so I would just go through my day, make 3 meals, eat about every 4 hours, and just show how easy it is to eat a vegan meal. It's not difficult. You don't have to sacrifice taste, flavor, or even the types of foods you used to eat. I do eat everything that's organic. I try to eat healthier. You don't have to necessarily buy all the organic foods I buy, but even so, my foods really aren't that expensive. I mean, compared to someone who eats out all the time, this is cheap eating. So I start off with a smoothie. I usually eat these almost every morning. I try to get a lot of my greens in this way because I don't, unlike some vegans, I really don't like eating salad that much, especially when you have to drizzle oil on it. So I just kind of like to eat it in a beverage. But the base is always bananas. These are organic, free trade bananas from Whole Foods. As long as your bananas are organic, I think you'll be fine. So we got some organic strawberries that you just keep in the freezer. These are from Costco, and blueberries. And then we add some greens, some spinach. Get our iron. You should eat green vegetables every day. This orange juice is pasteurized, but at least it's organic. And I just love the sugary taste it adds to my smoothies. Milks I like soy milk, cashew milk, almond milk, oat milk. They're all good to me. It doesn't really matter. But you just want to get the ones that have less sugar in them. This is a BlendTech blender that I bought from Costco. It's around $300, but you don't necessarily have to have one that's this good. It's just the fact that my wife and I use it 2-3 times a day, and a regular blender just isn't going to cut it. Also, if you're blending frozen fruit, that'll probably break a regular blender. So yeah, I highly recommend the BlendTech. The Vitamix, also another good choice. A little agave nectar, that's what vegans use instead of honey. Honey is something people say because it's just bugs. Why boycott it? But it's exploitation of animals. Bees do have some sentience and feelings, we know that, so to kill them is wrong. To enslave them, rip their wings off. Taking honey from bees, it's like, imagine you grew a garden. You wanted to make some spaghetti, and you grew the wheat, you grew the tomatoes, you grew the basil, you grew all of the spices, the oregano in your garden over the summer. So 3 or 4 months you grew these things. The pasta by hand. You're just about to sit to eat this meal that was basically 6 months in the making, and then some asshole comes along and just takes it and says, here's a glass of sugar water instead. That's basically what we do to bees. So there's really no reason to eat honey, and it's not healthy anyways. It totally dries you out, changes the pH of your stomach. It's just bad stuff. Just have some agave or maple syrup. So I mean, this smoothie, it's freaking delicious. I mean, I wish I could have you taste it through the computer, but I mean, it tastes like a strawberry milkshake. So there's just no reason to hurt animals. So that is breakfast. It's very filling. This will fill you up for 4 hours. Okay, for lunch. Now, my breakfast was very low fat. I did add some hemp seeds to it, but that was about it. So for lunch, we're going to go something fatty and decadent, and I hope this will show you that you don't need to eat hamburgers, lunch meats, cheese, any of that kind of crap. So the tools we're going to use for this is a panini press. Sometimes it's known as a George Foreman grill. And I forgot to record myself grilling my tofu, but basically tofu is incredibly cheap, fermented soybeans. I do buy organic. You don't necessarily have to. And I didn't do it for mine, but I would recommend marinating it in soy sauce or liquid aminos for a couple hours, and that will really give it a nice salty taste. Because basically when you grill tofu, it has the consistency of chicken and the taste. I mean, you really won't miss chicken if you have tofu. So I grilled that for about 10 minutes, take it off, and then I add diANe vegan cheese, and these are gluten-free wraps. You don't have to eat gluten-free, but I think too much gluten is not good for your stomach and your intestines. And you put some nice organic tomatoes, some spinach, and some pickles on there, and you've got a great sandwich. To me, that's just as good as anything you'd get from a restaurant. Oh, the avocado really makes it nice and decadent. Alright, now we're finally to dinner. So for dinner, the tool I'm going to be using is a pressure cooker. This way I can cook dried beans in 20 minutes when they would normally take 8 hours of soaking and a couple more hours of boiling. I mean, that's what you can do. You don't have to do it my way. I'm just saying this is the way I do it just for speed. It's really nice to get this done within a half an hour. So I'm going to be using mung beans and kidney beans. I'm going to be making an Indian dish. Alright, so this is basically called rajma. It's kidney bean curry. When you go vegan, you end up being drawn to different ethnicities in their dishes, such as Indians, of course, because they're vegetarian for religious reasons. Mediterranean food doesn't have much meat in it, like falafels, hummus. Some Asian foods, they use a lot of fish sauce and that kind of thing, but you can get rice and veggies at most Asian places if you just say just no sauce. But maybe I'll make a separate video on restaurants sometime. So we're going to put these beans into the pressure cooker. I'm going to add a cut up pepper, shredded ginger, onion, garlic, and a few spices. And then we're going to be putting this over some long grain rice and quinoa. I'm trying to wean myself off of rice. I don't know if any of you watched Dr. Greger's videos on nutritionfacts.org, but he doesn't recommend eating rice very much because it tends to pull arsenic out of the earth. So I'm trying to wean myself off, so I'm going to make half rice, half quinoa. Alright, so for spices, we're going to add cumin, chili pepper, coconut sugar, Himalayan pink salt, so that's a little healthier than regular salt, and of course the ginger. Yeah, and then we just put that in the pressure cooker for 20 minutes, and the rice, of course, goes in the rice cooker for about the same amount of time. And here we are. It was delicious, pretty fast meal. Cheap, it's beans and rice basically. But you don't have to give up on flavor. This is very spicy. So why are up to 60% of antinatalists not vegans? Well, I think a part of it has to do with the fact that being an antinatalist, it's really not that difficult to live the lifestyle, especially if you don't have a sexual partner. If you like being alone, or you're just not interested in dating, or whatever reason you're not sexually active, you're kind of automatically in the antinatalist lifestyle. Or if you're homosexual, clearly there's not any children coming from that. Or if you're menopausal age, it's just not hard to do. Whereas if you're a vegan, you have to eat, no matter what age you are, no matter what type of personality you are, you have to eat food. You have to make that choice at least 3 times a day, maybe 4 if you include snacking and desserts, that kind of thing. It applies to what you wear. It applies to any of the products you buy at the store. So you have to live ethically every day, whereas just being an antinatist, okay, just don't have kids. It's just basically one thing you have to do. So I think that's a part of it. It's just simply harder to be an activist in this. Even if you are sexually active, you can just wear a condom. And that's not hard to do. People don't have sex 3 times a day, usually. So I think part of it is just laziness, convenience, and taste. McDonald's tastes good. It's hard to give it up. It's not easy to live an ethical life, especially when you've been taught to live an unethical life since you were born. So then there's the people who are kind of half-assing veganism. You have vegetarians, which they're basically meat eaters who just don't eat one type of meat. They don't eat flesh. Some of them eat fish. It's called like a pescatarian. But they're still eating eggs and dairy, which is even more cruel to animals. Eggs is the cruelest industry humans subject animals to. The suffering is just so immense. You can't call yourself an ethical eater if you eat eggs. You just can't. Then you have the freegan people. Basically, freeganism means you will not give your money to animal products. but you'll eat them if they're made available to you for free. I mean, there really isn't an ethical issue with it on paper, but it's not something that you should do every day. I mean, there are bums, who'll dig through garbage cans and just eat meat if they want to, but I mean, to me, it's just setting a bad example. I mean, once in a while, it's not a big deal. I think we've all used vegan principles at some time. Like inmendham had an example. I can't remember what video, but it was maybe 6 months ago. He said his neighbor was giving away or going to throw away some cans of tuna, and inmendham said, "Well, I'll take it." So rather than just letting it go to waste, he would eat it. I don't have any problem with that, although I mean I wouldn't eat it personally because tuna has mercury in it, heavy metals. It's really unhealthy to eat. You can just get your protein from somewhere else, spinach. But I don't blame them for that. I mean, if you're poor, that's one thing. I mean, I can afford quality organic food, so there's really no excuse for me. But say I think a lot of vegans live with their parents, and they'll just eat whatever they give them. But this is just a bad example. I mean, you have a chance here to put your principles in action and say, I refuse to be a part of that cruelty. I refuse to be a part of that natalism. Because eating meat, it is natalism. You are promoting the birth of animals to be killed and tortured. If your parents want to, make meat meals, well, get off your ass and make some potatoes and eat that instead. I mean, I'm sure they'll have things in their house that you can eat that are vegan. Just don't do it. Just try to get out of the habit. Because once you do leave your parents' house, it's going to be even harder to break that habit when you go to the store. I mean, if you start early, just the better you get over that addiction. You can't just not have kids. You can't just say it's wrong to eat animals. You really have to live it. I mean, you have to give your life some purpose in it. And one of the only worthwhile things you can do is to try to convince other people to live an ethical lifestyle. One story I know is Gary Yourofksky, the animal rights activist, said he was going to dinner with a benefactor, said, "I want to support your vegan lecture tour." And he was shocked when the guy ordered meat. He said, "Oh, you thought I was a vegan? No, I just support what you're doing, and your speeches are some of the best I've ever heard." So this is someone who couldn't even give up his addiction for one meal to be around someone he was going to give thousands of dollars to support, to go around the country to preach veganism, but he couldn't do it for one freaking meal. I mean, it's strange to me why someone would want to philosophically endorse something, but then not live it themselves. But I understand people do that. It is a phenomenon that maybe I'll make more videos about in the future that I don't quite understand, but I know it does exist. Yeah, so thank you for listening. I hope that this helped anyone who's been thinking about the vegan lifestyle or is unsure about it. I know there's a ton of videos on YouTube about vegan. Just type in vegan, what I eat in a day. You're going to find all sorts: junk food vegans, health vegans. So I recommend going and watching those videos. But I just hope this one will reach someone who's an antinatalist, vegan, vegetarian, carnist, who maybe hasn't given it a go yet. So that it's really easy. It's really not that hard. Your taste buds will change, and there's so much delicious plant-based food. I mean, you can eat to your heart's content. There's so much to eat. I mean, look at the produce section that most people just walk right through without buying anything. Pick a vegetable, make a meal out of it. So again, thank you very much for listening. Take care. Bye.